Hey guys, welcome back to Borderline Banter and Brews podcast. We're here with Billy and Tony this time. Aaron is still not on this episode. He had sort of an emergency, so hopefully that all goes well for him. And probably he'll be in the next episode, hoping. For this episode, I kind of want to touch a little bit on what we mentioned last time. I know we were like giving our view about machismo, male chauvinism, and also female chauvinism, but I know Tony didn't get a chance to share. So I wanted to ask you, Tony, your parents, did they have a 50-50 dynamic, or were they like more traditional, like they had roles like women stays at home and men goes out to work?
Um, it seems like it was, how do we say that? It was a more of a traditional with a little modern twist. So the
Mhm.
backstory is my dad is from the US, the States here, and my mom was from Mexico. I guess from when I say traditionally, it's just I guess from the beginning of my younger ages. My dad was the supporter. He had the business job. He worked at an office and supported the family, right? And my mom would be I guess like the supporter, cooking, cleaning kind of thing. But like I guess to a point that because I'm the youngest child in the family, it's only me and my brother. And I guess once I started going to school, she started, I guess, getting a second job or a part time job. So I guess she would work on the side and like help support a household.
Mhm.
I guess later through the years, I guess once my mother started having cancer, even then, would still try to work and just get some income in because we had some like very financial issues back then,
Yeah.
and my father just like kept losing jobs somehow because I guess his career was I guess like after one career it got outsourced to a different company, and then from there he struggled a lot. So I guess that's when my mother like kind of stepped in a little bit, like trying to get like a better job that can pay well and at least help support the family. So that's why I want to say like traditionally it started traditionally, but I guess towards later it became like modern-ish style where she started supporting my father, and my father would still like try to be like the caregiver and make sure everyone's all happy, make sure there's food, make sure the house is paid. So I
Yeah.
guess yeah, like he paid majority of the bills and my mom just like paid like the smaller bills that she could do, and then of course she had her own bank account, and he had her own my dad had his own bank account, and yeah, they just spent some things on the side, but majority of it's basically they have the same account where they just pay like the majority of like the major things for the household.
Yeah, that's I forgot your parents were not both from Mexico. I think that has a lot to do with it as well, because like my parents, they're both from Mexico, so they're both following the the Mexican household guide over there that everybody follows.
Yeah,
But oh, that's interesting, and really amazed that your mom continued working as well. I know that's a
yeah,
hard thing to deal with.
yeah. Because I think my dad growing up, he was more like the book learner. Like he was more into books, reading. I mean, he
Hmm.
finished high school at the age of 16 and he was already in college. He was like very, I don't say nerdy, but like he was just very smart, intelligent at the time, and like
Damn.
dominated like most classes. And he just wanted to like finish school and just go straight to like career and all that. But yeah, and then my mom just, all I can say is like she just has a high school degree and then she just got to work jobs at retailing. She worked at factories, and then the last couple of years she just started working at the school district within she and just getting paid salary and with like very good benefits with it.
Damn. That's
And
super
then like she came
impressive.
to, and then like the thing is that she worked at one of my high schools, and then I would just get free lunch because she worked there.
Free
She was like,
food.
"You want double pizza, mijo?"
Yeah, pretty much. Just just go to that next lane over there. They'll give you like chicken nuggets or a free pizza. Like, all right, cool.
Hell yeah.
That pizza used to hit the. They had like the square pepperonis.
It was a
Yeah,
rectangle, dude.
That was a
that and
rectangle.
the rectangle and the chicken sandwich. They were like the bomb, or like chicken strips, whatever they were. I just make it into a chicken sandwich.
I'm actually glad to hear that. Yeah, they were doing 50-50. This is different because I know my parents, they're not 50-50, and even now they're still not. I mean, they're still doing traditional, which says a lot because that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask. Because are you and Kim traditional or 50-50?
We're about the same boat. We're 50-50. We try to. I know there's some things that we don't try. We don't want it to try to sound so like traditional, like very how you say like like masculine and feminine kind of thing. Like, oh, she has to do the dishes, and I have to like throw out the trash. We don't want to sound like that, but I guess there's some points to it that we still want to have that tradition. So like I guess in her point of view, I think she still wants me to be like to do the manly things, like take out the trash, all the yard, take care of the household. But at the same time, like I don't think she would want to like for her to do the dishes all the time. Like I'm pretty sure she wants me to help out once in a while. But for the most part, I know for sure it's a 50-50, but I guess when it comes to like the smaller things, I think that's where it kind of like divides a little bit. Like, okay, I know my job, that's my duty. So I mean, how do I say it? Like, so I guess we can communicate. I think in a relationship, we got to communicate. So we have our situations and schedules about cleaning the house. We know that she's in charge of because we have a 2-story house, so she knows she's in charge of the downstairs, and I'm in charge of the upstairs. So I just vacuum upstairs, do the bathrooms, and then she mops the floor, does the kitchen on the downstairs, and make sure everything's all tidied up. So I think I guess we can say that's 50-50. We just like kind of separate on some things with
So
that.
what you're saying is you take out the trash.
Yeah.
And washes the dishes sometimes.
Yeah.
That really turns into the 50-50 because that's teamwork, because if y'all had roles, that means one of y'all would always do something. But I definitely get you. Like there's sometimes that, like for example, Billy brought it up this last episode where if your girl was wanting to do something that like cut the grass outside when it's hot, like you obviously don't want her doing that, so you're gonna step in, right? And that really goes unspoken. Like like you just do it because you were like what's it called? Your brain just automatically jumps in, right? Like why are you doing that?
Not for me. For me, I actually enjoy cutting the yard. So I have like a small little hobby that I'm trying to trying to get my grass nice and thick and healthy and green. So I don't like if anything, I don't like anybody touching my grass. Like, hold on, I'm trying to let it grow. Don't do it. You gotta cut it at least. You gotta cut it at least 3 inches to a quarter. Nothing less, nothing more.
Oh, you follow that TikTok with the guy that cuts it like perfect?
Yeah, one of them.
I like the guy that has a weed eater. Like he'll like make the edges super nice.
Oh, I know. I want that.
So satisfying.
But like she understands. She doesn't understand like why I'm into that. But like for some reason, that's like a hobby for me. Like I enjoy it, and that's just something like everything outside I'm not gonna touch.
Then that comes like that's kind of like a mixture. That's why it's kind of like there's no perfect formula for that because like you're saying, like that sounds 50-50, but also traditional as well. But I think the issue is not really that, oh, are you traditional, are you 50-50? I think it's more like, are you toxic? Are you like chauvinist, because that's where the issues come in. And that's what we were talking about last time, that so usually when the household is traditional, it comes with negative things like abuse, like physical abuse or verbal abuse. It really depends on who your partner is, I think, because I kind of want to talk about that as well. If you guys are comfortable sharing that, because I know Billy
you want me to share? You want me to share with you about my partner?
About your past experiences with partners, because I know it hasn't been like a fairy tale story for anyone really, because I know I'm married and everything sounds like like it's unicorns and rainbows and everything, but I've been with my wife for 10 years and there's definitely like there's ups and downs like for everybody.
Well, that's kind of like what I was saying is the whole partnership thing doesn't mean there's not going to be disagreements and arguments and stuff. That's where the communication comes in. Like that's where like, look, this upset me. This is bullshit. I like it. And you got to just be able to hold your temper in sometimes. I'm not saying a lot for you, but like being able to communicate that sometimes, like I know men and women have a problem like saying like, hey, that upset me. Like that actually upset me. No like kidding around or anything, that bothered me. And that's a lot of the times like where a lot of the miscommunications and fights happen. Like,
Yeah.
or the other side is one of them are too stubborn to admit that they are in the wrong and they hold that ground. Is that hit a little close to home to you, Brandon?
That's exactly what I wanted to actually mention, because last episode Daisy made it sound like I'm such a like a perfect partner, and like I do everything right, but I don't. Like, to be honest and real, because I want to be real on the podcast, and I mean, I don't care if it hurts my image or anything, but like I blow up sometimes. Like I'm a patient person, and like I put up with a lot of stuff, but when I blow up, like I blow up. And especially before we got married, I know y'all heard the hookah bar story like plenty of times now, where if you heard the episodes before this one, we used to argue a lot, and over little things. And like, I don't want to say that's healthy or that's okay, but this stuff that happens, that it's not all perfect, it's not all fairy tale, and it goes both ways. Like, you can't be like controlling somebody else's life, or letting somebody else control you. Like, you have to be able to support each other, just like Billy was saying, like as a team. I don't know if you relate to my words, Tony. Like, has everything always been great for you?
Not at all. I don't say it's been great 100%. There's always been like arguments. There's always fighting. There's always like miscommunication on some things. It's not always gonna be like always perfect as it seems. So like a lot of my friends, people think we're like the perfect couple. Maybe like we probably don't see them fight or argue in front of them, trying to hide uh our reactions. Like there's a fight going on before an event, we kind of like play it off like, hey, yeah, play it all normal, like, hey, what's going on? But I know
Yeah.
deep down it's like we're just, like we're like currently in the middle of a fight right now and don't want to talk to each other. I mean, there's some days. I mean, we've been together for 10 years, almost 10 years next month. And yeah, there's been cases that we almost been broken up a few times, and it's been really serious that it's gone to the point that it's just like we're gonna make it or break it kind of thing. And thankfully we're still like working it out, communicating and trying to fix the situation, trying to like help one another and support us each other as well. It's always a work in progress.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, because we're around I guess we've been together the same amount as you guys. About like we were like, the only difference is we wear our expressions, or what is it called? You wear your heart on your sleeve. Or is that's the
That's
definite. That's okay. Yeah. We like, whenever we're mad, like it shows, or whenever she's mad, it shows, and it's hard to hide. But I also wanted to kind of like mention that, because I don't want everybody to think like everything, like you're gonna find this amazing person, and you will, you'll find that person, but it won't be like I found this person and they're perfect, and everything's perfect. You're gonna find that person and be like, okay, I'm willing to go through this, with them. Like, and it's not gonna be always fun or happy or nice enough, but you're like basically like, okay, if it's hard, I'm happy as long as I'm with you, that sort of thing. I feel like that's the difference. But I didn't want to bring that up, because I for sure was not. I don't want it to be no like seem like everything's magic and unicorns. It takes time and patience.
Definitely a lot of patience. I mean, I don't know what your next question is, but like basically my spouse or fiance is literally my first girlfriend that I've been with actually. Before then I've been dating, but it wasn't like real dating. So I didn't get to learn anything until I became in this relationship, because I didn't know how to become a boyfriend until I was with Kim. And so I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Kind of thing. Like I never made it this far. Like, what am I supposed to do? But yeah, during those times, I had to learn like how to step up and how to become like manly and like be the person that she wants. And become a better person for myself and like for us to work together. Just a work in progress, and even to this day, I'm still learning like new things to do.
I like that you shared that because I basically have the same experience. Like, I never had like a serious relationship. I did date like short relationships, but when I met my current wife, that's when it was more serious and long term. And I have the same experience as you. Like I had to learn like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Like the amount of responsibilities like increases. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Like, oh, I'm supposed to do this. Let me write this down real quick.
like, was I supposed to be taking notes?
To answer that question, yes.
And there's a lot of things that you have to learn with your partner, because you have to learn like, what's it called, nonverbal cues, like was this not right for me to do, or is this something that you want to do, and you want me to do that, like things like that. You have to like just learn along the way.
Yeah, because I know when I was like, I guess before the relationship, like before I met her and all, I know when I was like single, I was like, man, like once I'm in a relationship, I know I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna treat her right. I'm gonna get her flowers. Like I just have this whole positive, futuristic, optimistic mentality. Like I'm gonna do this, and then once the relationship happens, you do it, and then like it's only to a certain point. Like, okay, how do I keep it going?
Like, I gave you flowers last month. Why you
Yeah.
want flowers again?
What, I gotta feed you again? Dang.
Like, I did this romantic dinner like 3 months ago. Why you want to do something again?
Anniversary. Wasn't that last year?
Yeah, right.
Damn, it's already that time again.
Like getting an inspection on your car.
This guy.
God, dude.
Well, I guess my lease is up. He's trying to get a new one.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how this plays out for him.
Let's stick with the inspection.
He's getting nervous. He's getting nervous. Like, no. Don't do that. Don't be planting ideas in the heads of people that don't need ideas planted in their heads.
So, my next question, I was going to ask you, Tony, because I may be wrong, but okay. So, my wife, I'm gonna start sharing with my relationship first before I dive into yours. So, you can probably tell, right, that my wife is a strong female.
You can tell she wears the pants. Go ahead and say it.
Yes, okay. I don't care for the pants, so yes, yeah. Like, I'll let her lead if she wants to lead, but when it comes to me having to lead, I'll do it as well, you know. For your relationship, Tony, do you feel like Kim is like a strong lead, or do you take the lead sometimes?
Yeah, I think she does for the most part. Unfortunately, she takes the leads, and she has like a big personality. Like she just has like a lot of things in charge. And I know she doesn't do it on her part, but like I feel like even within our relationship, and even when she's hanging out with her friends, she has to take charge on most of the things she does. And as a partner, I should be like helping her as well. Like knowing that she takes charge in a lot of things, I should come in like, hey, let me take charge at least this time, because I know you've done it so many times. But yeah, to answer the question, yeah, like she's pretty much the main provider, and like I don't say the man that wears the pants in the relationship, but yeah, she's pretty strong personality, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm trying to go at for me asking that question is, does that affect how you feel about the relationship? Because, like, I know being on the other side of a strong female, I knew that she was that way going in to the relationship, and believe me, like, I know y'all seen those like things on social media where you're like, I'm the guy that they'll give me my order wrong, and I'll be like, oh, okay, you give me my order wrong, no, I'll just eat it, you know.
Suffer in silence. That's me.
Yeah, and she's the one that'll be like, oh, hell no, like you got the order wrong, like tell them to give you the order right. So that's our dynamic. Like, you know,
I'm good. I can eat this. It's edible. All right.
It's okay. I'll just like throw up later.
Like, no, like seriously, that's what why one of the reasons because I didn't always stand up for myself. Like I didn't always like feel like I had a voice in a sense. If somebody was doing something that I didn't like, I didn't always say it. And she's the opposite of that. Like if she feels like you're like saying something like passive aggressive, like she'll come at you. And like I'm not just talking about me saying something passive aggressive, but like anybody, like in family or a friend of mine or her friends, if they say something like, "Oh, no wonder the house is dirty," or "No wonder he eats too much," or something like like something under the snake tongue or something. How do you say? Like she'll
Under their
she'll
breath.
jump out. Yeah, she'll jump out like, "Hey,
It'd
what?
be
Watch,
weird if
watch."
anybody was talking parcel tongue.
I was gonna say that.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, like with a strong personality, which is kind of funny because she's mostly like trying to be like introvert. She doesn't like socializing a lot, and I'm like the opposite. I like to socialize and talk to people more often. But I guess later, I guess growing up, because I met her in my early 20s, and now I'm like in my 30s, and now I'm kind of shutting down. Like I don't like hang out with a lot of people or not talking to a lot of people. But I guess like being with her, she helps me get out of my shell a little bit more and be more outspoken, and that's something I've never like gotten to done. And like I guess through my younger ages, like I never was the one to be outspoken or never try to like talk or communicate with a lot more people. But yeah, she would help me out, like just like, hey, like speak out, say something. Like, all right, I will. Like, give me a
Yeah.
minute. I need a prep talk real quick.
Let me charge my extrovert my extrovert side. I
But
get that a lot
yeah,
because like I didn't even know how to dance
Hmm.
like the right way or good enough. Like I'm barely like average right now, and that's only because she's the one like, oh, let's go dance. Like I'm not the one who really took the initiative there, and I know it sounds lame, but I like it's the truth. Like I'm the type like that I could just sit there and just watch everybody have a good time and not be like dancing in the dance floor. But I feel like you
yeah,
you and
that's
that's the
similar. Yeah, same
reason,
situation as you.
right?
Yeah, she wants to dance. I'm like, I just want to like watch people.
I'm like, I just want to sip on my drink and chill. I feel like Billy's like not relating because he's the guy that like busts a move as soon as the
I
song
mean,
drops.
I mean, yes and no, because one, you have to get me out of the house at that point,
True.
and then once you get me out of the house and I'm in a comfort zone, there was a period of time where yeah, I was going out a lot, and I was also very extroverted about how I do things. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot less extroverted and a lot more. It's just cheaper to stay at home, and
Yep.
those drinks are expensive, and not to mention people. Like you got to deal with those.
It's
Like
funny because like I have a bar at home, and then like I go out to drinks. Like, why have a bar at home? Why am I going out?
true.
Yeah.
Like
Unlimited shots.
Yeah, for real.
yeah, unlimited shots, and I don't have to worry about a DUI at home. I'm not going to get charged for driving to bed from my living room
Walking
unless I actually get into a car, and then that's a problem.
what's it called? DUI, WUI, walking under an influence.
Oh yeah.
It's funny you said that because today we were talking about how like you go outside and it's freaking like, oh, $100, $300, just going outside to the
Nope.
store.
Yeah, see, and that's kind of like whenever I was that kind of person, though. Whenever I went out, I was the kind of person like I can dance, I'll do it. But now I'm like, that's okay, unless you get a couple of shots in me, and then I don't give a fuck. And they're like, well, I know this song, let's get it.
Like
Teach me how to
courage.
doggy. Teach
Like
me how to
like
doggy.
at my best friend's wedding, straight up we were lit. Did the worm on the floor during during everything. I was like, all right, let's get it. I was gone.
He was doing the
There's
wobble
a
later on.
nah. But all
Okay.
the line dances come on. Yeah, I usually knew all of those too, so I kind of just got out there and did that. And there was a reason why. The reason why I got out there was like girls like to dance. I like to dance, or I can dance. So maybe I'll meet somebody while I'm out there. You know, who knows? I will say I never met anybody while dancing though.
Okay, I was gonna ask, like, so you're not the type to ask somebody out to dance. So you like just meet them in the dance floor.
I mean, because it's backfired on me a couple of times, like where I was like, I went and asked somebody to dance, and they're like, no, I'm good, and I'm like, all right, and I feel like, well, I'm not that kind of, it's not that kind of toxic masculinity. That's for me. It's like, all right, well, there's something wrong with me. What the fuck? I'm the worst, apparently. Like what?
What's in my face?
Yeah, immediately, like, man, do I smell? Wait, what's wrong with me? And I start questioning myself. Then I just, all right, well, I'll just go out to the dance floor on my own. I'll have a good time. If somebody wants to come have a good time with me, they know where to find me because they can see where I'm at. And the thing is at that point, I wonder if I was too intimidating to approach because I was out there and I knew all the moves and I was doing that thing. And at that point, it's like, is it the woman that's like, well, he should ask me to dance? And I don't know which one it was, and I never cared to find out. And now it's like to a point where like, well, my friends are like, let's go out. You want to go out to a bar? And we're all like, can we just all meet up at somebody's house and we can bring the alcohol there? Because one, there's plenty of beds. We have a place to sleep it off. Like, yeah, it's cool to go out and all, but we get to choose our own music, choose our own alcohol, and we don't have to deal with random people we don't know.
When you're looking for a partner, though, well, I don't know if you're looking at the moment, but do you feel like you're looking for someone who is gonna be a strong female character, or you feel like you're looking for someone more? What is it called? It's like a word for that, like
dominant or submissive.
Yeah, submissive. Submissive. Yeah.
See, so for me, this is, if I were to look for a significant other, it would have to be somebody who enriches what I currently have. They would be able to see what I have and add to it. Like, for example, they have something as well as I have something, and they could combine their something with my something, and it'd be something special. And I just don't feel like, and that's the reason why I'm really not looking, because I really am happy with what I have in my personal space. And for somebody to actually incorporate into that would be amazing. I would love to incorporate them into my large friend group and then be a part of it. And like, because if you can't tell, I'm in a podcast with a bunch of people that are paired up in couples. My entire friend group are married, paired up, and are couples. So it's like, I'm the only one here, but I don't really care. I'm happy for all of my friends, and I am happy with where I'm at. And that's kind of the hard thing, is like, if I was to bring somebody in, it's very intimidating to be like, well, he's got a large friend group. He talks to them every night. They hang out together regularly. They do their own thing regularly. How do I fit into that? And it's kind of intimidating. So it's hard for me to say that somebody's going to bring something that's that's going to add to something that I already enjoy so much, you know?
Yeah. So you're kind of like looking for a dynamic where
I mean, she doesn't have to have a strong personality, but if she did have a strong personality that wanted to go and do things, I'm at heart, I prefer to be with my significant other and please my significant other and like do the things that they want to do. Even if that means sacrificing some stuff that I want to do, I will usually do that. But that's also another reason why I'm not looking, because I don't like that part of me. I don't like where I basically treat my friends worse when my friends are everything. They've always been there for me for everything that has happened in my life. They're basically my family because they're the only ones that I've actually been there whenever the times were rough. And for me to just drop everything and and become obsessively addicted to this person, because I have a very addictive personality. Like, I get addicted to the most random things, and I've been addicted to people. like a person, and it gets to a point of where it gets like very overwhelming for the other person, and I can only imagine, because I'm not seeing it from their perspective, and I can understand why they backed away and left afterwards, because I want to be with them. They're the person that makes me happy, and that's what they're the ones that makes me feel good. I want to be with them, but they want to be have personal space. So I'm like, I get, whenever it comes to like finding a significant other for me, that's the reason why I'm not looking, because of the fact that I don't know how to fix that about myself, because I acknowledge that, and that's a problem. But I also don't know how I can find somebody that could enrich what I already have that's already really good.
Yeah, and that's something that's like, how do I say it? Like, I admire you, Billy, like enjoying like the single life, and you're happy with your life. Like for me, I just like,
but don't get it twisted. It gets lonely sometimes, especially now that I don't have Anya. Like, it does definitely get lonely in the apartment sometimes, where it's just like, it's just me.
Right. No, I'm saying like it's not like perfect. Like it, of course, there's some like lonely times, but like just knowing the fact that like, oh, I'm good with my life. Like, you're not searching. That's for me. Like, if I was like single, like, oh man, I feel like I would have to like need to be with someone, or I just don't know if I can like survive if I was by myself, kind of thing. Like, I feel like I just need like a partner.
That's how it was at first, and I didn't get to this part of me until I started like really reflecting on, wait, I'm really like a terrible person to my friends whenever this happens. I don't want that to be a terrible person to my friends. I love my friends. I don't like driving them crazy, or like not having them be some of the most important parts of my life. And if I until I figure out a way to fix that about myself, I think I'm going to just try to find happiness in the things that make me happy currently. And I think I've found that. And as for finding the fix for the other stuff, I mean, I feel like that's going to be extensive therapy sessions that I haven't even began to dive into.
That's kind of where I was going with asking you what kind of person you're looking for, because I feel like you can't have somebody who's going to be challenging you, like, oh, why are you playing your games when we can be going out on a date or doing this or doing that? Because that's something that I have we had arguments about, because she would want to do something and I would want to do something else, or she would want to go out to to the mall, and I just want to stay home and watch a movie, like things like that. Like, you're gonna clash, and it's gonna happen, and it's fine. But especially when you have a strong, like if you're submissive, to a strong female, character person, like she'll, like, you can't always, how do I say it? Like, you can't always clash. Like, there's times that you have to, like, okay, I'm gonna let this one go. Like, we'll go to this for this time, and the next time you do this for me. Like, there has to be one person dominating at a time. Is what I'm trying to go at. Like, if you're both dominating, like, it's not gonna work. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, there's a dynamic for there's that dynamic for a reason, and in a lot of communities where it's one is a dom and the other one is a brat. If I'm not mistaken, that's what the dynamic it is that one's a dom and the other one's a brat. And that's typically the way that works. Is one is just overtly dominant and the other one acts like, well, a brat at times, and the dom puts them in their place, and that's kind of their thing. That's what they enjoy to do. That's where they find like the spice, in other words, the freshness in their relationship. And I don't think that would be me.
I feel like that's the case for 50-50 relationships, though. That's why I'm kind of mentioning it, because like since we're 50-50 and now one person is always in charge, I feel like a lot of times my wife and I, like, sometimes I'm the dominant one and sometimes she's the dominant one, and we switch roles.
That's not
Like,
what I'm talking about, though.
You're talking about
like and there's dynamics where one is always the dom and one is always the brat. Yeah, but that's different. That's different. I agree on the situation of, like, it shouldn't always be this one's always in charge. Like,
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. It feels good to not have to make a decision sometimes. Like, oh, you know what you want to do? Fuck yeah, let's do that. I'm in. I don't have to figure it out. Thank you. Or vice versa. Like, hey, I took care of this.
Yeah, because I'm in the same boat as Brandon. Like, I guess we can take turns because depends on our week of work schedule. Like, I'd be so tired one day, but she'd be active. Like, oh, I want to do something, or vice versa. And then she's tired, and I want to do something. So I guess that's when we come to consensus. Like, oh, hey, we haven't gone out. We've been very busy. Like, we just need to go out or have fun. I say steam off or take a vacation kind of thing ish.
Unwind.
Yeah. But
I did see a video that there was a couple that was talking about how when they come home, they give the other one a percentage, and the percentage being like, I'm at this today. This is what I'm spent, or you go to work and you had one of those days where it's it was the worst day ever, and you come home and you're like, hey, I'm at a 95 today, and the other person's like, all right, well, I'll make up I'll make up the rest of that, and I'll pick up your slack. In other words, is what they were talking about, or their energy level. I'm at a 40 energy level. You got home and you just took a beating all day. And you're like, I'm at a 20% today, and the other person understands okay, well, I need to be the other 80 for today. I need to pick up the slack. Because it's a relationship is 100%, right? It's never it's 50-50 is one person or the other, right? And if you come home and you're like, I'm at a 20%, you tell your partner that I'm at 20%, they know that you're not going to meet that other 30% that you normally can, and that's kind of the communication that I was talking about, is I'm at 20% today. I can't really I can't really think today.
Yeah.
I'm
actually a good point. I think I'm actually gonna try that. Mention that, because there's some days I'm tired. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it or speak it out. I'm like, I'm just tired. I'm just gonna lay down, or they just let me decompress, watch nonsense TV just to just get rid of work. But yeah. I guess that's a good thing, just to bring it up. Okay, hey, I'm I feel this kind of percentage, or out of 10, I just don't want any, just want some things to myself right now and just cool off kind of thing.
And yeah, and there are also going to be days where you both can't bring 100% to the table, and there's nothing wrong with that. That means that you both need to find a way to not do anything that day and wind down and don't cross that bridge. It's clearly one of those. It would be clearly one of those days where it's we aren't cooking, we aren't cleaning. This is an order out and turn some TV on situation kind of day. But that can't be every day. There are days where all right, yeah, I'm at 20%, and the other person's like, well, I'm kind of at 40, but I think I could pick it up. I think I could pull up. We can't. I was like, I'm probably at 42, and then, or I'm probably at 40, and you're at 20, but we still need to get this done. But if you're both sitting at 5%, dude, come on.
I feel like it takes a lot of communication to make that happen. Though.
Exactly.
And it's also a fairy tale, not a fairy tale.
I don't think that's a fairy tale.
Or I'm trying to say, in reality,
it's not a fairy tale to communicate. It's not a fairy tale to talk to your significant other and tell them this is what I'm feeling.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that sounds like something that you would wish in a perfect situation, because in reality, when either me or my wife is tired, we don't always communicate. we don't always have that perfect like, oh, I'm tired, let me cool off. Like sometimes it comes off as like like it turns into like, oh, why are you mad, like, or what's wrong, and it won't always be that clear or communicate friendly. Is what I'm trying to say.
No, it can be because
it can be, yeah.
It's not a perfect world situation. It's about a tone. Like you know for a fact that if your girl was like, "Hey, are you mad? What's wrong?" or what's wrong, and you're like, "I'm just tired. I had a rough day. I'm at like a 20% today." If you were to say that, is she gonna fire you up?
Okay, so I'm talking from experience. Like,
Well,
hear me out. Hear me out real quick. So, like, okay, let's say I say I'm tired, right? And what if she says, "Why are you tired? Oh, you've been home all day." So, what would your reaction to be to that?
It was a rough day. It was a mentally taxing day, and I'm tired from the mental stress that I had to experience today.
And what if she was like, "Oh,
mental stress is a thing."
What if she was like, "Oh, I've been out of the house all day. I've actually been dealing with a bunch of people over here." Like, it turns into like not so communicate friendly, which is my point that I'm trying to make.
If she hits you with that, it's literally, I understand. However, I am kind of spent right now. I need a moment. Like, instead of getting fired up, because I know what you would do. You would get fired up and start getting stubborn and getting petty, and immediately go into a different action. Whenever
exactly.
in all reality, this is you we're talking about here. That you need to focus. Like, oh, hey, am I communicating this, or am I handling this correctly? Am I hearing what she's saying? She's saying that she's probably pretty low on the percentage as well. Well, let's communicate that. Like, hey, I'll pick up a little bit more, but can I have a moment to just kind of bring it back?
And I agree with you.
And if she says no, then at that point it's no longer a 50-50 at that point. That's expecting you to do 70.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I agree we should be communicating. I agree we should be working towards that. But what I'm trying to say, like, in reality, it doesn't even always work out that way. And like Tony,
in reality, like, you start taking it wrong. Am I wrong?
But okay, Tony, do you see where I'm coming from though? Like, have you experienced this?
Yeah, I kind of get it to your point. And we do this thing called like the sandwich. Like once a week, we like that's our time where we communicate. So it's the reason why it's called sandwich is because the first part is like the bread. It's like they talk about the good things about each other, what you did right this week, and then the middle is like a meat where we talk about like, okay, what can we improve? Did I do something wrong? And then the bottom part, the sandwich bread, the bread is basically looking forward to in the future. Like, okay, what are you looking forward to work on, or what do you like to plan in the future? So that's like something we do because like I said, we've been like in the rocky situations, and yeah, we'd be like, oh, what's wrong? Like, oh, it just work, and then like, all right, it just seems like something else is there, and there's like tension that just builds up, and that's where like we don't communicate as much, and that's why we're trying to do the sandwich is to bring in some communication to figure out and understand what's wrong and how we can improve things better.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, so using your example there, if she was to say what's wrong and you say work, that's expecting her to understand like, okay, is it, you kind of got to give a little bit more explanation. Pretend like you're talking to a homie about where this enemy is at, if you can relate to a video games perspective, or like trying to, or a football perspective. If you're like you're on a defensive, or you're a linebacker, you're communicating with the defensive line. Hey, running back's on the right side. Watch your right. You know, like it's like you're communicating in depth. And if she says what's wrong and you say work, that's not communicating in depth though. Yeah. That's just you saying work and you being short. And if you're just being short with that, obviously the first thing I'm going to think of as well, if my partner, if I'm like, hey, is everything okay? They're like, just work. And that's the end of what they're saying. I'm like, oh, I mean, okay, it's probably work, but am I a part of that? immediately my mind's like, am I a part of that? Instead of being like, I'm just tired, work kicked my ass today. Or like work really wore me down today because, you know, a lot of shit was going down and I just kind of felt like stressed out about it. That right there is a lot more communication. It's a lot of understanding. Like, oh, okay, so it is not me. I immediately take myself out of that situation because there's nothing to do with me with the work stressing you out. All right. The immediate thing that I usually say to something like that is, well, do you need me to do anything? Can I help you out? If I'm not already spent myself. Because if I'm spent myself, I'm like, I feel you. I understand. We not doing anything tonight. We're just chilling. Or I don't feel like doing anything tonight. I don't know about you, but I don't feel like doing anything tonight. And just ending it there. Because that, I mean, if you come to me and I say like everything okay, and you say, yeah, work, I'm like, hold up. Wait a minute. There's a lot, and that the little communication causes for a lot of miscommunication.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if you the little you say, the more likely they interpret it something else. That's the reason why a lot of men have issues with where do you want to go to eat, and a woman doesn't say I'm craving this. And it's like, instead, she's like, you pick. And then it goes through that. And I can guarantee you, I don't even have to go through this. You two know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
All the
like,
time.
Okay, so I don't need to go through this. Like, if she's been craving something, she knows she's been craving. That's the reason why I'm not just trying to point the arrow at you guys. It's both sides. There's a lot of miscommunication and the lack of communication. And the way that I see it. Like, if you're not saying stuff, you are failing yourself. And I understand what you're trying to say, Brandon, with that's a perfect scenario. But if that's not a scenario that you can mentally bring yourself to whenever you're trying to communicate your problems, then is that a perfect situation problem, or is that something that you might need to work on, or she might need to work on?
Okay, so that let me explain that a little bit further, because I feel like you're going off of like just the idea of it, because I'm coming at it from an angle. You got to think about it. I've been with my wife for 10 years, right? And we have a kid.
It doesn't mean you have a perfect situation. You said
that. Okay. So let me say this. So we can communicate, right? So I know she can attest to this as well. And yes, it's something that we can work on, and obviously everything can be worked on. But just like Tony's sandwich idea, like that's something that we could do. And it's not always going to work, because what I'm trying to get to is sometimes it becomes a challenge, like a competition. Like if I'm like, hey, I'm tired, like like our work day was super busy. I'm like, or just like me venting, like, hey, I had this going on today. Like it doesn't always come back as like, oh, well, yeah, you could take it easy tonight. Like we'll do this or we'll do that. Like it doesn't always come that way. So it could like what she could say back would be like, oh, well, I had a harder day because this and this happened, and then I have to come home and deal with this, and like it just becomes a competition where instead of communicating, you guys are like just it turns into like you start attacking each other.
Are you communicating like, I understand we both had a tough day. It's not a competition. We're here to support one another. It's not a competition. And if it is a competition, there. Well, and that's where you're like, it's not a competition. We're on a team with this. I understand. You had a rough day. I had a rough day. I know a lot of stuff probably needs to get done. We could probably take a minute just to kind of rest and kind of catch up.
Okay, and that's where the perfect world mentality comes in. Like,
well, have you done that though? Like, have you said you had a bad day too? All right, bet. How about before we dive into that, can we take a moment and then we dive into it together and at a more higher percentage, because my battery's a little low.
No, okay, so you're telling me that if you're at 5%, right? You're at 5%. You already told her, hey, I had a rough day, and then she starts talking about her day. You telling me at 5%, you're gonna think, oh, I'm gonna suggest doing this. Like, no, like you're tired. You had a long day.
In that situation,
you didn't get
where I have been in the situation where I was spent, and I said, listen, I'm extremely tired. I don't know if I can do much today. However, I'll give you what I got. And literally what I said. And that solved any problem that I had with that night.
Tony, help me out here. When you're tired, do you jump to like perfect world, like, oh, let's communicate about this and let's work on this, or do you just say
that
like,
means you have
okay,
anger issues and
it.
you need to take a breath and step back, dude.
Don't if you're
snapping off, dude, if you're snapping off whenever she's like trying to compare shit to you, and you're like, I get it. If you're feeling that way every time, I feel like your anger is winning. Because I get it. You're tired. You don't want to deal with bullshit. And you feel like this is bullshit. But you're not taking a breath and taking a step back. You're looking at it as from your perspective, not from the outside looking in. Like, okay, all right, I hear you. You had a rough day too. It's not a competition. Because honestly, you don't even have to say that out loud. You could say it's not a competition to yourself because clearly you're the one that's making it a competition in your head.
No,
like, right off the bat, I'm telling you, you're making
you're just using to attack me. Okay, so
I'm not attacking you. I'm telling you, based off of what you're saying. Based off of what you're saying to me, that's all I have to go off of.
But this is on both sides of the coin. Like sometimes she'll be the one that's tired, and then she'll tell me like, or like like that. It's on both sides. It's just not me blowing up.
I mean, I'm just okay. And whenever she says you're tired, what do? You compare your day to hers?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because I'm also tired, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Like
the thing is you're coming at her like, well, I had to go through this, and are you approaching it like, all right, yeah, that sounds. You like you don't like listen to the. So tell me about why are you tired, and listen to it.
So that happens, right?
And that happens, and then you move on from, well, this is what I had going on today, and I'm feeling pretty rough too.
And what if they don't ask about your day?
And you're like, yeah, huh? And what if what?
What if they don't ask about your day?
They don't have to ask. The thing is as a person that is good at communicating and talking, if somebody comes to you and asks you a question and they're trying to start up a conversation with you like, hey, how was your day? And you answer, fine. You're not communicating. You're answering questions. Whereas if they were like, hey, how was your day? It's pretty good. How was your day? You're continuing a conversation. It's not their responsibility to be like they tell you I had a rough day and you're like, well, tell me about it. And they don't tell you about your day. You're like, yeah, that's where you have to continue the conversation.
Right. So I mean, like this is what we do for once. Like it's okay. I have a long day. I ask her like, oh, how's your day going? Oh yeah, same thing. Like it's pretty long. It's been stressful. And I'd be asking her like, do you want to go to gym today, like to relieve the stress? Like no, I just want to lay down. Like all right, cool. Just gonna order some pizza, get some wine, and call it a night. Because that's like we know like that's like we know like okay, if we're tired, she's tired. We don't want to cook. They just binge watch or binge eat something else to like eat our feelings away.
Have you ever both had a bad day though?
I guess we can say yes, but I think with another psychological thing, like with the gym, it relieves the stress. So going to the gym actually just helps us out, like relieve any tension, any stress, and then afterwards, like all right, now that is done out of the way, we can like live our like normal life. Like not to say perfectly, but like back to like where it was, because I know work can be very stressful, and then us being in IT, we're working with like idiots around us. It's very like mentally tiring.
and yeah, that's definitely another thing. Is it's taxing, and you've been asked a bunch of stupid questions or asked to take care of stupid requests all day, and the last thing you want to have is another stupid question or have another stupid request. The thing is if your significant other is coming to you and with a request or having a conversation, and you look at it as another stupid request, are they in the wrong? Or like is it their problem that you got upset for thinking their issue was a stupid request?
As because I mean, as a person. Like you're asking as a spouse, or
like for example, say your spouse, right? Your spouse comes up to you and ask you like a question and you've been dealing with stupid shit all day. But like, listen, I understand. Like, I get that. And the last thing I want to hear is a question. Your response should not be the last thing I want to hear today is another stupid question or another question. I'm tired of answering questions all day. Maybe it's like a take a step back and be like, wait, what was the question? Okay. Like sometimes you've got to like not to make it out to be like a bad thing, but I feel like sometimes you've got to come at it like as if you were talking to a child. Not saying women need to be talk to children or women need to talk to men as children. I meant like
we canceled now.
Well, I meant more on the way that you approach a child. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when a kid is like, well, why does this happen? Do you be like, oh God, another stupid question? Shut up, kid. No, you're like, okay, like you know that you're like, but what do? You tone it back and you're like, you answer the question, and you find that patience in you to answer that question. And I feel like a lot of the times, because they're a grown ass person, you don't use that same respect and same like mentality. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. In my past, I've gotten frustrated. I'm not saying that I handle every one of those situations correctly, but I'm not saying that what I'm describing is perfect situation. It's it's what you should do, in my opinion.
Working towards too, yeah. I understand that.
Yeah,
that's
and
why
if she asks me a question, I'll probably still answer it, even though like I've been dealing with like all the stupid questions at work. Like it's just still my other half. Like I'm still gonna answer it.
You wouldn't answer it like super in a good mood though, and then you'll come off as.
I mean, you wouldn't answer it as very aggressive and negative,
right? Though, no, not an aggressive or aggressive. But like I probably approach it differently. I'm like, okay, I need this moment. Like, what would you say again? Or like for me, like I'm very like a playful person. I probably turn that into like a joke in some way and answer the question because I'm not much of a serious person. I'm always like the joyful or like the always joking around kind of guy.
Like the point I was trying to make, and like I'm just gonna say I'll clear it up because I don't want to sleep on the bathtub tonight or tomorrow when or whenever I publish the episode. But
bathtub, hey, not even a couch.
Oh yeah, the couch, right?
He forgot about the couch. Damn.
So when I was talking about is when basically like we're both like tired, we're both done with everything about the day. It turns into competition, and yes, it's toxic, and yes, it's something that we need to work towards to. And it just to clear it up, like it's not always, it doesn't always end like, oh, we turn it into a challenge and we're fight and that's it. No, so in that moment, in the heat of the moment, like yes, we'll be like toxic and like, oh, why are you tired if you were home all day, or why are you tired if you did this and that. Afterwards, we'll probably come back whenever things cool down. We most of the time come back when things cool down, and we'll be like, okay, like sorry for being that way. Like I'm clearing it up because I feel like in a marriage, you can't so easily like, oh, we're gonna break up because of this. Like when you're married, it's a bigger deal. Like you're like, oh, divorce, but it's not a thing that comes into your mind that easily. So the sorry comes later, like not in the moment, not in the heat of the moment. Like Billy was saying, like start talking about working towards this and working towards that. Like it doesn't always help. Like there's sometimes that. My wife, like, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry for saying this. And she'll be like, I'm still mad at you. Like, I know you're saying sorry, but I'm still mad. Like, I need time to calm down. Sure. And like, I feel that way too. That's like, sometimes she'll be like, yeah, but that communication doesn't always work. Like, sometimes I'll be like, okay, just leave me alone and let me calm down. And it will come off as like, oh, I don't want to solve the problem. And yes, it's toxic, but it's also real.
Well, saying "leave me alone," I just want to calm down. You don't think that would be like something, maybe a wording situation? Like, think about that. Like, think just using like a generic situation. If you were to answer an email at work, like, we've got it taken care of. Just give me a minute.
Well, that brings me back to like yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's and the thing is yeah, I hear what you're saying. In the heat of the moment, a lot of the times you aren't thinking of
You're
those things.
pissed,
Those didn't
right?
pop in
You're
well,
mad.
I mean, that's a problem for you to figure out with your angers and issues.
So
And
you're telling me
if
Nerd
she has it too, that's a problem y'all need to figure out with your anger issues. Okay, like
I'm gonna tell her. Billy said that
you
we
don't
had
have to
anger
tell her.
issues.
She's gonna listen. And the thing is it's not saying that she's over angry. It's saying like y'all got to figure out how to step back sometimes and not be like snappy. And I know you're snappy because you like, and I know you're snappy because I've seen you at work like that with me. And when you do that to me, I clap back because I'm not your spouse and I'm not gonna take that. Don't get me wrong, she's not gonna take that either. But at the same time, like it's one of those. I know that you're like that because sometimes in the heat of the moment, you don't take a breath, take a step back, and think before you talk.
Well, I'm bringing it up because in a 50-50 relationship, you both take the lead at times, and that's where you clash. Because if you're in a traditional, like the man works and all that, you have roles. So the woman doesn't always clash. Like she'll let things slide. You know, she'll be what's it called, submissive, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this because.
I mean,
that's
the
not
thing
the dynamic now.
You have to understand, like when you are going to be in the driver's seat, and that's where talking about, hey, I'm at a 40% today. Clearly, you're not in the driver's seat. If they are like, oh, I had a good day. All right, you're at 40%. But if you both had a bad day, it's like neither one of y'all are driving today. Both of y'all are in the back seat. Y'all got to figure something out. Better call an Uber to drive you where you need to go because y'all are both not at 100%, and you shouldn't be behind the wheel, especially if your tempers are flaring. And don't get me wrong, your tempers are gonna flare regardless. Fights are gonna happen. That's neither here nor there, and that's not going to be something that's argued. But like in a 50-50 relationship, it's one of those. If you know that you're not 100% that day, you know you're not in charge. If you don't know that, then you need to learn that. Because
well, you say that though, but you're forgetting that there's a child in the mix now. Like there always has to be somebody. Yeah. There always has to be somebody in the lead. Like even if we're both at 30, even if we both have 5%,
I think
somebody has to drive.
I've heard this in the past. I've heard something like
gonna
that.
Be driving.
Well, I've heard something in the past, and the kid is always driving. The kid will always be the one that's driving, regardless. Because why? The kid needs to be taken care of, so the kid gets its way. So, kid's not going to get everything they want, but they will be made sure that they're happy, they're healthy, and they're alive and taken care of. And the kid comes first. Now, if y'all are both your tempers are flaring, is the kid taken care of? Yes. Are they situated? Yes. All right. Well, I need a second. Can we take turns here? Because I know you've been watching him all day. Do you mind if I take over? You take a second, and then we switch, or do this together? Because I don't know if I can mentally do this for a little bit for a little longer without a second to get like my headache taken care of or get a breath.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's something that we need to work towards. I mean, I have been getting better, like to be honest, like and to show some progress on like credit on my end. Like at the beginning it wasn't always how it is now. Like I'm right now, the dynamic I have is I do anything like that is needed. Like sometimes I'll be doing dishes, sometimes I'll be taking out the trash, or sometimes I'll be outside, like like cutting trees or something, or mowing the lawn.
Cutting trees? What the heck?
I cut a tree.
You mean trimming trees, like cutting the branches and shit, or are you like legit chopping trees down?
It was a small tree. I chopped it down.
It's that Charlie Brown Christmas tree, that little tiny one.
Oh, that's what it was.
And then, like, especially with the kid, like I'm not. I always think about this, and it doesn't put me to shame. Like, you know how there's been TikToks like when your Mexican ancestors are watching you vacuuming like You're like, what are you doing, man? Or like sometimes I'll see my dad like kind of side eye me like, what are you doing? Like, why are you cleaning up? Why are you sweeping? Why are you doing this? But in my head, I don't see it like it makes me less of a man. But I see it as I'm doing what has to be done. Like I'm cleaning up one for my son because he's running around and I don't want him to be in the dirty environment. But it does cross my mind like that's something that people in the older generations would make fun of because I'm doing these things.
Bob Dylan once said these times are changing, and that's kind of the thing is you either change with the times or you die with the old.
Like Tony, has anybody ever made fun of you for doing things that a man should not, like in the past would consider that a man should not do?
No, not really. I don't think anybody's seen it. And if I sweep the house, it's because it's my house. I want to have the nice and tidy and want everything clean. I'm like I don't want to say OCD officially, but I just like want to keep everything tidy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's good qualities, especially in our generation and in our 50-50 dynamics. But I do see it from like people who the woman is the one that stays home and cleans all day. Like those guys will be like, oh, well, you'll never catch me sweeping. You'll never catch me washing dishes, and I'm a man. Like
I'm a man.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a man, and let me tell you, I'll be a stay-at-home husband all day long. You want me to stay at home? I'll make sure the house is clean. I'll make sure dinner's ready when you get home. Say less. I don't have to leave the house. Bet. You got me. I got you. All right. You had a rough day? Come here. I'll rub your back for you. Whatever. You know what? I don't give a damn. And if anybody says I'm less of a man for it, I'll just tell them you're jealous that you have to go out and work all day. I get to stay at home, bitch.
Bro, and thank you for saying that because that's one of the things that from the last episode. You know how Daisy was saying that women now they don't need us. They don't need men. Like women can get jobs now and and take care of themselves. Like that's I feel like that's the big reason why things are becoming 50-50 because they can take care of themselves now. There's like there's women who make more than men now, and that's great. That's a big
get that hustle.
Oh, yeah. She makes like 30% or 35% more than I do.
Gamer game, dude. Hustle.
Huge difference. It's because of the damn job market. I'm still pissed off about that.
You'll find it.
Yeah, but no, she joked around like if I was making like I think what she said 100, basically our income total plus more. If I made that much, which I'm supposed to, that she was gonna stop working, like just stay home now. I mean, and she agreed with that. She agreed with that. Like she's okay with that because she does not want to work. But she's doing it because, of course, we gotta survive. We have obligations. We have to do adult things. So yeah. But as a joke, we were just saying like if I just made double what we make, then yeah.
If only,
Yeah.
In this dynamic now with the like women don't need us. Do you think that some men like feel inferior?
Well, I mean, okay, so look at my situation. I don't need a woman. It comes. I pay my own bills. I find my own happiness. I don't need a woman for that, and no woman should feel like they need a man for that. And I don't think it should make you feel inferior that they don't need you. You just need to find out a reason why you need them.
Yeah, because I feel like, because I think it might be like a different topic. Like it's more single people now than there was before because I think everybody just want to focus on themselves, and a lot of people are good in a career. And for the most, I don't know the statistics and all, but like if one would to be in a relationship, they'll see like their future going downhill currently. So I don't know. That's like a different topic, but like, I feel like the single release people now, I feel like it's more up there in the charts. And
like people are being more careful now with
being more careful. And and I guess it's just very difficult to find another partner that's compatible with them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why, but that's from my experience. From like, a lot of my friends are single, and I guess they're happy where they're at, and they're not trying. And if for those that are trying to find somebody, they're just like, yeah, they're just it's the game is very hard, and women are expecting more. I guess.
Well, you also got to think like it's either go out to a bar and find somebody, or use a dating app where 90% of the time on a man's perspective, and from my personal perspective, most of the people you talk to are actually robots. They're not real. And if you get a match, and if you don't get a match, or if you do get a match and it's a real person, it's you're really rolling the dice and on what you're going to get, whether you're getting that match that is compatible with you, or it's not even close and it's a waste of time. So well, I mean, I've been on dating apps, and I'll tell you right now, like if I got a match, I was very skeptical that it was a real person. Every time I'm like, this is not a real person. They are way too good looking to have matched with me. So let's see how this rolls. And either like lo and behold, either I get ghosted because I'm having a conversation, trying to, keep a conversation going and maybe schedule something. Or whenever, like right off the bat, I say something to initiate the conversation, it starts going into a whole spiel. And I'm like, okay, robot, chill out.
Get the conversation going with the robot, like, so how's it going in the computer world?
Yeah, right? You got any hookups you can wire me in real quick?
Do you know any other AIs I can hook up with?
Hard pass.
I feel like that's a good transition of the whole like single versus, like engaged and married. Basically relationships as a whole. And like people are being more careful for like now looking for their partners, and people who are married are have to sacrifice a lot to stay together, and divorce becomes this thing where you're like just trying to fight it because it's becoming so common now. I've seen that a lot. Like it used to be like when you're married, it's like forever, and now it's like, oh no, you have the option of divorce. Like, what do you? It's not forever anymore. So even though it's sad, if you like take the advices that for example Billy and Tony have said, use things to help each other communicate, work towards being better, and keep trying. Basically, if you as long as you're trying, you should be fine, with your significant other. And if you're looking, being careful is not bad at all. Make sure that you are finding the right person. I'm not saying be super picky about it, but because down the line when things get hard, the person who's next to you or who's with you in the situation, it matters. It matters a lot.
Yeah, and I think I want to add is like also like make sure you're happy, make sure you're in a good place, make sure you're in for this, because a relationship is very important. It takes two to work at relationships, not just a one-way street. Yeah, just like make sure you're in a good place and just make sure you're good and you're happy.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are doing the you got to be happy with yourself before you can be happy with somebody else situation. But the problem is whenever they get to that point of where they're happy with themselves, they're like, do I need somebody else? Yeah. Is that going to affect my happiness? And the thing is you have to, if that's where you're at, you have to kind of dive into why you feel that way. And I'm still diving into why I feel like I'm happy. I don't think I need anybody to mess up this happiness. And who knows? One day I might figure it out, and if that day comes, maybe I find somebody. But until then, like I don't think it's fair to myself, to the future partner that would be, or my friends and family. And that's kind of the thing that you got to look at is like you're not being fair to yourself if you're not like embracing the why you feel like nobody could actually like enhance the happiness that you're looking at. And a lot of people just don't get past that because I mean you're getting to do the things that you want to do and you're not having to compromise to somebody else's wants as well.
And that's healthy, actually, like super healthy. And I actually think you're in a good place, Billy. Like once you've reached that, like I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I feel like that's when the person is gonna show up. It goes back to when I was talking about destiny. I know we disagreed and agreed on some things, but I feel like you haven't met that girl or person yet because it's not the time yet. But once it is, like you'll be like, oh, it's just in time. Like it's you'll get your person eventually. And I'll remind you of this podcast whenever you invite us to your wedding.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will try to throw something at me, but I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but I'm going to say it's not going to happen right now because it's not something that I want or look for right now. And if it happens and I just so happen to be like out of nowhere meet a person surprisingly and boom, we hit it off and they mesh well with okay, cool, yeah, by all means, I'll accept that I told you so's. But until that time comes, I'm going to continue being happy with what I currently have and enjoy. And I genuinely feel like you shouldn't feel any different about your situation. You should be happy about what you have and enjoy. And I know you are because I see the baby pictures and the pictures that you post, you and your girl, and the things that y'all do together as a family. I know you're happy. I don't see anything Tony does. Not kidding.
I don't think I have you as a friend.
Exactly.
That's why.
But I know they've been doing stuff because I hear what you talk about. Like y'all go out and y'all do stuff together, and
travel.
You just gotta find, like, you might go through rough patches, but even through rough patches, like if you're not able to communicate, like, hey, look, I'm at like 20% today. Like, I'll compromise. I'll try. I'll give you my best that I can. But right now, I'm at 20%, and they can't reciprocate that. Then you both need to figure out where there's a miscommunication at here, because it's not always like divorce. Can't communicate. Kick it to the no. Like, hold up, wait. We need to talk about this because obviously you got married for a reason. There is affection there. There's a connection there, and obviously if there's something you come with like, hey, look, I'm at 20% today, and they're like, well, I'm at like 40% today. Well, hey, look, we're together. We made it to 60. It's a passing grade in some countries. We made it today. Good job. High five. Like, hey, you gotta look at the like that right there. Probably just saying that alone probably just eased the mood for them and yourself. And then it's like, all right, do you want to just like make some dinner together or like order something? And then we can talk about each other's day from there. You can tell me about what happened, why you're at 40% today, what got you there, and I'll tell you about mine. I mean, because a lot of times that communication, I feel like alone, just being like, hey, this is where I'm at. Where are you at? Okay, so we are not at 100 today. Let's figure something out and let's talk about why we're not at 100 today. Because a lot of times, if a girl comes to you with a problem, you have to ask them, do you want me to fix it or do you want me to listen? And and then from there, like I'd say, like a lot of your issues will be solved. Because if they just want you to listen, shut up, listen to their problem. Don't try to fix it, because innately, your first thing is, I have this problem. This is what's going on. And what's the first thing you want to do? Fix that problem. Give them advice on how to fix that problem. No, just shut up, dude. Just shut up. It's hard to do. Trust me, I'm the type of person that's like, well, here's some advice. They don't want that. Unless they say fix. 90% of the time it's just shut up and listen, because they just want to vent and talk about it, just like we do. We want to vent and talk about stuff. We're not looking for a fix. Because if there was a fix, we'd probably try to do it on our own.
Like, I like that you say fix, because that's what I was trying to kind of point across. Like, there's not always gonna be that solution. Like, if you guys are arguing, with your significant other or your wife, like, cool off. Like, it's fine. You don't have to solve it right there and then.
Nope.
And you don't always have that thought, like, oh, like, I'll let you vent while I'll take it, and then I'll talk about me later. Like, it doesn't always work that way. So It's okay. If you're fighting,
I mean, it's always in the moment too, and so like it's always like pull off like, hey, I need a moment. We can talk about this at a certain time or bring this up because I know we're both mad at each other or we're both in a bad mood. Like, hey, give us each other some time. Let's meet up or rebound with this tomorrow later or like another time and just go back with it and find a solution.
And sometimes, like, even like saying, like, at the beginning, like, listen, I want to find a solution to this, but I need to cool off. Like, I want to solve this, to find a common ground and a solution to this issue that we're having. However, I need to calm down. I need to take a breath, and then I need to collect myself to get my thoughts so that I can, effectively work with you on this. And you don't have to say it like that. You got your own words and verbiage and way you should say it. But I mean, say it in a respectful manner. Like, hey, look, I hear you. I want to solve this, but give me a minute. I need to calm down. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go for a walk real quick. When I come back, I want to sit down and we can figure this out if you're available or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, because during those heat of the moments, you might want to say, you might say something you're going to regret later.
Exactly, later, so. that's where the deep breath and take yourself out of the situation. Like, do your best to take yourself out of the situation. Like out of body style. Like listen, be like, whoa, hold up, I'm about to say something. Should I say this? Think about what you're gonna say, because a lot of times, like, I know Brandon, he gets that way, and I know I used to get this way. Oh, you said, oh, is that how you feel? All right, snap, pop. Here's something. I'm about to try to hurt your feelings. 9 times out of 10, you're the one that gets your feelings hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you take that from the, I'm an Aries. Like, I learned that from Daniel, that I act before I think, and I'm saying it from experience, because like Tony said, like I'll be pissed and I'll say something that I don't mean, and then that turns into another fight, and then it's just a whole like rabbit hole down. And yeah, you don't want that. It's not healthy. It doesn't help anybody. Take a breather. Work towards better. And that's a good transition here. So we can close out this episode. Working on your relationships or working on yourself. Our next episode, we kind of want to do something related to Valentine's or Single Awareness Day. Yeah, I know you're gonna say that, Billy. I appreciate everything you shared, Tony.
Friends. Make sure they're still good, dude.
I appreciate you sharing, Tony. I know you mentioned about your mom, and like I really think she was great for like continuing to work and helping the family. I think that's really awesome. I know that this disease is hard to deal with, and she passed away, right?
Yeah. Sadly, both of them.
Oh yeah. So sorry for your loss, and thanks for sharing. I know it takes some effort to jump back into the past and talk about everything. But thanks, Billy, for sharing about what couples should be doing. I know you have that outer perspective from single, from the single view.
I mean, it's things that I've learned from relationships too. Like there are times where in early relationships, like there are times where I popped off too, but after a while, it was like, why? What am I missing? What am I missing? Why am I getting like this? Why am I getting this angry? Like, okay, hold up, wait a second, and then you just kind of look. Yeah, it's an outside perspective, but at the same time, like, it's things that I've like hindsight learned from what I did. Like, these are things that I did wrong. This is something I could have done better, and I feel like you guys don't really have that because, like you said, Tony, this has pretty much been your relationship. I've had quite a few of them that I've got to learn, like, I did this wrong. I lost that relationship because I did this wrong. I could have done this better.
Is there a quote for, like, always try to be better? Or can that be the quote? Always try to be better?
Just learn better. Learn from your past mistakes.
Do better.
Constantly.
Isn't there, like, for sharks, like, if you're not moving forward, you're gonna sink?
It's sink or swim, yeah.
Just many fishes in the sea.
Yeah,
that's a different.
Or times are changing. If you don't change with the times, you'll be gobbled up through the past, and that's kind of where things are. Because if a lot of relationships are ever changing, If you're not willing to accept change and learn from the things that you've done in the past to move into the future, then you're gonna be stuck there, and you're gonna die there. That's your hill. Good luck.
So that's that. We'll end this episode with that. For our listeners, don't get left behind. Keep up with the times. Keep working on yourself and towards better you, because you end up not in a great place.
And then for all the single listeners out there, if you want to hit up Billy's single.com.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
He's on Christian Mingle.
No, I'm not. What the heck? Now you're just sending them in the wrong place looking for it. Don't ever, no.
What was the other one? Only Farmers or something?
Don't hit me up. Don't look for me. I'm good. Heck, you can Google my name. You won't find me. I can almost guarantee it. But on a different note, rest in peace, Carl Weathers, Lando Calrissian,
Oh, yeah.
Apollo Creed.
R.I.P.